Hi everyone, good afternoon, and how are you doing? I hope everybody's doing fine. Just have a few things that I want us to share, that I want to share with you, and just within a few minutes, and that is on creativity, a sound virtue for excellence. We know to say we have reached at the verge when life has become so difficult. Things that are unfolding themselves, they don't show any kind of anything which is leading somewhere. At some moment, maybe we want to give up. We're thinking maybe it's not going to work for us. But now, I want to introduce something that is very cardinal, and that is creativity. Of course, we talk about creativity as a sound virtue for excellence. And when we talk about excellence, we're talking about being extraordinary, being unique, being phenomenal, being exceptional in the way that you do things. Yes. So now, I want to discuss about creativity as a sound virtue for excellence. We realize that in the world that you've reached today, there are quite a number of things that happen, and we find that with those things that are happening, it requires us to be creative and innovative for us to also get to some level of some kind. But if we don't do so, then we find ourselves at jeopardy, and nothing is better for us. So, what is creativity? What comes to your mind when you talk about creativity? You talk about inventing something that never happened before. You talk about doing something that has never been done before. You talk about coming up with an idea that may help the people that are in the community, and in return, you find some good means of how you can earn yourself. Yeah. So now, what I'm going to share, I'm just going to share just a few things that usually make people fail to use their creativity talent that have been given them. And usually, you'd find that they would sit on whatever kind of thought that they have. It is very important to note that each person has got a mind, and that mind has been made to be put to use. And you know, the mind usually operates on the principle of giggle, that is garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you feed in your mind is what comes out of your mind. If you are creative, then it means also you're going to have creative ideas and creative thought and creative action. So now, I want to look at it as what really makes creativity a sound virtue for excellence. So you're talking about excellence, and that is being explicit, just being a good example, being unique in the way that you do things. If it be financially, if you use creativity, it means that you become financially stable. If it be in the social life, if you're using creativity on how you look at things and how you tackle things, also you're going to be socially upright and also in excellence in that manner. Then also in the same manner, if you talk about all aspects of life and incorporating creativity, if you're in the employment sector, also going to find that creativity also plays much a role. And we understand to say at the age which you have reached, you'd find that every job interview that we have, usually we incorporate some kind of creativity. That thing that usually they put and say, they would say, able to work with minimum under pressure with minimum supervision. In other words, they're telling you to say able to multitask, able to use the brains, able to use the mind in solving different kind of life challenges that use what come in the time of employment. Of course, it calls for creativity. And it is important to know that in the same verge of creativity, some people have failed to exercise their potential, and some have excelled and they have lived the life that they wanted to live. And some other people, at the time when they are supposed to start, they never saw it the right time and they never started. Some moment, when the time when they had nice thought that would have led them somewhere, that's the time that they just gave up on themselves, because they thought maybe the idea that is coming from them will not hold any water. And now, I want to discuss a few things that usually make people not exercise creativity and later on not attain excellence as they are supposed to have attained. So the first one, we have a sect of people who have the fear for the future. Now, I want to make it known that for as long as you are afraid of the future, you cannot approach it. whatever challenges, whatever kind of thing that it brings on board, to you it's just going to be a nightmare. So now, number one, why you would fail to be creative and be excellent is because you have a fear for the future. We understand that the future really is not clear. It's absolutely clear. We don't know what really comes out of it because no one has ever seen what the future holds. But now, having a mind that is making us fear the future, it is restricting us to think ahead. Now, one man said, live your life today as if it's your last day and plan as if you're going to live for 100 years. That simply means to say, you must be adequate in planning. For as long as you plan, then it means it's going to force you to be very creative in how you are going to implement those kind of plans that you've put on board. Of course, we have to understand that in as much as you've made this plan and you've got these creative thoughts, you must also make it haste slowly. You must move in a manner that places you at a moment where you are moving with your time without any pressure from anybody. So that is going to equip you and going to make you that kind of a person that is going to put help to yourself. So now, for as long as you fear for the future, then it means that there's nothing that can be achieved on those ends. Then, the other thing that is there is reason number two. Usually you have got a sect of people who are afraid of the outcome. Let's say, for instance, you are planning on how to start a business and you're already thinking of how much loss you would incur. You're thinking of, are you able to stand after that loss that you're going to do? You're thinking of building a house, thinking about how much money you're going to spend. So now, much money of how you spend, of course, is not a problem because that's what you have to be put on the plan. But now thinking of, those kind of unthinkables happening. So people usually have the thought of thinking, people have got a fear for an outcome. And hence, they would limit their thinking and they would do things that is based on the sect of things that they think they can just work for themselves. So, let's say, for example, here is a student who wants to go and approach an exam. Of course, you know that studying for an exam is something that calls for you to be creative in how you study. You have to prepare adequately. You have to know which material to study. Sometimes if you have to incorporate creativity, it means maybe you understanding yourself, maybe you have to also include some sects such as involving yourself in group study, having some long time, answering questions from different question papers and the like. Of course, life is like that as well. Now, with life, it calls, if at all, you are not doing well in life and you want to see yourself somewhere, you want to see excellence on your way, then the best that you have to do is you also have to use the student method. Find the people that can help you to reach the target that you want to reach. So now, for as long as you have the fear for the outcome, it means that you cannot incorporate any kind of thought that should help you to move one step to another. Then, number three, we have got people that have got fear for the people's attitude towards what they plan. Men have failed to excel to high level of excellence because they fear what they see, that they say. What will the people say about me? We don't look at really what will this bring, what yield will this bring, but you think about what do people talk about me. If I start something today, what do people think about me? What do people talk about me? Hence, that limits the level of us being creative, exercising the virtue of excellence, because we look at people's attitude towards us. And because of that fear, it makes us not to cross one level to another. Of course, we may have those creative thoughts, but they fail because the reason is you are afraid of what people think about you. Now, in this kind of case, you have a life, anybody else have got a life, and none of people that are in the circle of your life, you owe them an explanation. You haven't heard me right. You don't owe an explanation to anybody that is around you, but you owe an explanation to yourself for failing to reach the level, the target that you're supposed to reach. In a normal sense, we are supposed to attain a level of excellence in all spheres of life. But now, what limits us is the way we exercise our minds, the way we exercise our thoughts. What do we think about? What do we spend doing? That is going to determine how far we are going to go in excellence. So when I talk about excellence, I talk about excellence in all circles of life. Either it be spiritual, either it be social, either it be financial, all kind of aspect. The emotional aspect also has to be enlightened. But now, we have got this sect of people who would fear about what will people think about me, and hence they fail to use their creative thoughts. So now, it's very important to know that you cannot exercise creativity if you only wait until you get approach from the people, from everybody. If you wait until you get approach from anybody, then it means that you cannot excel. Because there's come a time when you have to make a decision alone. A decision that you have to make, that either has to hate the people that are around you for the sake of your own life. So, in the sect of fearing what people think about me, the attitude that they are going to give me, then people fail to excel to high levels of excellence. For as long as we don't exercise that, then we are also destined to doom. Then the other, this is the fourth one, that makes people not to be creative and hence not attain excellence, is fear for action to be taken. What will I do? Of course, yes, I've come up with this thought, but this thought, it seems, I cannot go ahead with in this kind of thought. So now that creates a void within you that makes you get tied to the thought that you have, and you fail to move one level to the other. So now, in the world of excellence, in the world of creativity, in the world of survival, it requires that sometimes we have to forgo certain things for you to also achieve other things. Often at time we plan, we lay our plans and we see, okay, we're going to do this at the end of the day, we're going to do those kinds of things. But we automatically fail. Why? Because in the first place we are afraid. What if I take this kind of action? What is going to be the outcome? So we are going to mix people's attitude, fear for the outcome, fear for the future in all one thing. So now, that brings in an action where you don't have what to, you're afraid of what act you're going to take. So for as long as then you do that, then it means that you cannot exceed excellence. Because excellence means living above the storm, living above everybody's expectation, living above all what man can think about. So that's what calls for excellence. So now, I want to share with you something from the Bible. When you get to read from the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 13, it says, "You are heads, I shall make you what? Heads but not tails." Of course, we understand that the head usually it's on top. If you're talking about people, the head is on top. If you're talking about animals, the head is in front. So now, if you look at that illustration, you're going to find that it gives an explanation that being a head, it means making you a leader. And in leadership, usually there's an aspect of creativity. You cannot lead if you're not creative, because you don't have a vision of where you're leading the people to. But in the case where you fail to appreciate the kind of leadership, the kind of thing that has been embedded in you, then it means you cannot go anywhere. Because it requires that in all sects, you are supposed to be creative. You are supposed to devise different kind of methods that are going to help you to live from one level to another. So this implies that for you to be creative, for you to have excellent life, for you to be head, not tail, then you must have the leading skills, not the following skills. You will do things. You do things that makes you to be noticed. Of course, noticed not through your thought, but through your actions. It is true that man is a product of a mind, and in the same mind where you find creativity comes from. So now, in the case where you fail to use your mind, you fail to act based on what you think is supposed to be done, it means that you are also becoming a failure and tantamount to yourself. You have, as a man thinketh, so he is. So the more you exercise creativity, the more you are sharpening yourself for excellence. You cannot live You cannot desire to be excellent in life and entertain mediocrity. For as long as you entertain mediocrity, that means you cannot go anywhere. So creativity is going to make you change your perspective on how you look at life. So the great principle that I want to share with you, excellencies, don't tell people your plans. Don't tell people your plans, but show them by the actions. You show them, this is what I have got. I have all this plan. I had planned this, and behold, these are the outcomes. But for as long as you are falling in the sect of the thing that I've mentioned, then you cannot excel to higher levels of excellence. So, just before I go, I want to make mention that for as long as you have the fear for the future, the fear for the outcome, the fear for the action to be taken, and you are afraid of people's attitude, then it means that you cannot excel to the level of excellence. So, being creative and reaching the higher levels of excellence, it entails that you as a person has to take a step, has to live above the storm, exercise the principles of an eagle. Then in doing so, you're going to find yourself in a different thought, in a different version altogether. It means that you're going to have a stage of metamorphosis from one stage to another, from one level to another. It's a complete change. So that's what creativity can do to you. And it can make you to be an excellent person in all things. So take heed and know, because at one point, life will teach you life. This is the message which is coming from a Life Teaches Life coach. And if you want to read more about it, get the book Life Teaches Life. Then you're going to find the reason why you should do certain things, because they just come naturally. Creativity, you're okay with it. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.